Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Yellow Squared podcast. It is myself, Ned, and I'm, of course, joined by my brother, James. Good evening, James. How are you?
Hello, mate. Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not doing too badly. I'm actually very excited for this podcast. So,
Mm.
this week, we're sort of avoiding the football because we obviously capitulated as normal at the weekend, so we're not bothering with real life football. Instead, we're turning our attention to a little bit of fun this week because we're all a bit tired of talking about how boring Watford are and how bad we are. And last season was the 10th season under the Pozzos, so discounting this season, we're going to be doing a little bit of a match of the day top 10 style podcast. So we'll run through 10 to 6 from worst to best season. Then we'll go from 5 to 1, and we'll see how wrong you are, James. Because obviously mine will be all right. So if you want to take it from here, yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Right, so yeah, as discussed, this is a 10 to 1 of the Pozzo era seasons for Watford. The bright-eyed and clever amongst us, listeners wise, will note that this is technically the 11th season, but we're going to get out of this one because it's not yet finished. So we're going to discount it, but also I think off air we both agreed that
Yeah,
this season
yeah,
would objectively be the worst.
definitely.
So yeah, this is what we're going to be chatting through. As Ned said, we're going down 10 to 6th, and we'll be rattling off our list, and then we're going to have a little bit of a chat about why we have put those seasons in that particular order. I stress this is not necessarily based on any objective fact. We're also going to be thinking about some more interesting storylines that went on during those seasons, how good the kits were, any memorable games, any memorable moments, anything particularly Watfordy, not necessarily the points per game
Yeah,
and the league position. But that is obviously an important factor in why a certain season was better than another season, if that makes sense. So without further ado, um, let's pile in. Mate, I did a little bit of digging, running through some stats. So just to kind of the wet your whistle,
mm.
um, for the Pozzo era. Now this does include this season, because you kind of have to if you're compiling these sorts of stats. So we've had 458 league games with the Pozzos in charge, and we have got 166 wins from those games. So that is about 36% win rate. So we're basically win one, draw one, lose one, which is pretty accurate for
Yeah,
this season, isn't it, really?
yeah, pretty
So
much.
that's quite interesting. We've got a negative goal difference. We've scored 613 and we've conceded 637 of them. Um,
Yeah,
which is I found that quite interesting when I
yeah,
looked through it. But then you take into account the number of seasons in the Premier
yeah,
League,
yeah,
and I
and
think maybe 600 of those were against Man City.
yeah, I was about to
So
say that.
yeah, so we've there's interesting stats in there. Mate, who do you think was the league's top scorer for Watford under the Pozzos?
Under the Pozzos, I'm gonna say it's got to be Big Troy D. Big Troy Deeney.
Yeah, TD Troy Deeney, 121 goals. Um, so he's been tucking them away. But interestingly, and
What a
it comes
player.
as no surprise to anybody, under the Pozzos in the cups, we've been diabolical. Apart from two rather interesting cup runs, which may or may not may play into your decision making for
They
the
definitely did.
for the rankings. So a few little stats there. I didn't have the brain power or calculator power to work out the number of loan signings we've had. Uh, so, uh,
We had about 1,000
so
in the 2012 season.
yeah, somebody ask Ian Holloway. Um, so, yeah, so I haven't included that one. Haven't got that one in there. So right, let's plow straight on, and I hope for the sake of this podcast that we have some differences. So what we'll do is, Ed, I'll ask you to run through your 10 down to 6, and I'll do mine, and we'll see where we differ. And I'll be making a note of these as we go. Okay, mate, you're 10 to 6. Fire off.
Number 10, I've gone with 2013-14. And at number
Ooh,
9, I've gone with 2016-17. Number 8, 2021-22. Number 7, 2019-20. And number 6, 2017-18.
well, okay. That's some fascinating numbers in there. Right, okay, my number 10 is the 22-23. Sorry, my number 10 is the 22 sorry, 21-22 season. I
Had
can't
a
read
bit
my
of
notes, mate.
brain power going.
Yeah, it's all gone wrong. The 21-22 season. Um, and then at number 9 is the 19-20 season.
Oh,
In at number 8 was the 16-17 season.
oh, okay.
In at number 7 was the 13-14 season.
Oh,
And in at number 6 was the 17-18 season. So there's some
okay.
quite major differences there, I think.
I
Were there
I
not?
would say
I'm
fairly
tracking that.
major, fairly
So
major.
you had the 21-22 season in at number 10. No, I did, and you had the 13-14 season.
I did, yeah.
Why?
I just thought that, well, it was the year after Zola left,
Yeah,
and the team massively underperformed. Um,
yeah, valid.
I think that going from competing and finishing third one year, and then dropping to 13th, arguably, well, until this season, that would have been the lowest finish under the Pozzos. So it wasn't really a great season in terms of points and stuff. But I just thought the
Yeah,
kits were pretty rubbish as well, and it was a bit of a weird season, a bit of a grey area for me in my Watford knowledge. To be honest, it was such a boring season that it completely really escaped my memory. So
well, yeah,
that's why I put it in 10th. I just thought that, well, we lost to Yeovil 3-0 that season as well, which is
yeah, both occasions.
a big factor for me. Yeah, I just thought we massively underperformed, and we could have pushed on, and we just sort of flapped about and lost quite a lot of games. And yeah, the lowest finish under the Pozzos on
That's a
this
good
list.
point.
So
That's
yeah.
a good point. Lowest, yeah, yeah, lowest season. I
However,
mean,
I did
my
have
number,
some highlights. I did have some highlights.
yeah,
Obviously
yeah, yeah, yeah,
beating Bournemouth 6-1,
yeah. That was a
and
good day.
taking a 2-0 lead at Man City in the FA Cup, which is pretty
Oh,
good that
Watford and
season.
2-0 leads.
I know we did go on to lose, but I thought while we had that lead, tuning into final score, we had a lot of spotlight on us, which was quite unusual at that time.
Yeah.
So I've got it in 10th. I could very easily be swayed, but I just thought it wasn't a great season for the
So,
Pozzos.
so you're saying that lowest Pozzo finish after the highs of the Championship playoff semi-final, and we just sort of fell flat.
Yeah,
That's why. I mean, that's fair. I mean, I had last season in it
yeah,
on because I mean, I was at the opening. We were at the opening day for the Villa game,
yeah,
which was probably the only real highlight. Oh, and the Everton away day, obviously.
yeah,
But I mean, I couldn't look through the fact that it was. I mean, everything about that season was just miserable. The manager changes, Hodgson, uh, some of the signings we made, notwithstanding, looking at the stats, it's our worst. That was our worst,
yeah. Worst ever season.
sort of
It was
worst
terrible.
ever season points per game wise. I think. Yeah, looking at
Yeah,
looking at
zero
what we got,
zero point
23,
six.
0.6 points per game. It was real ball, and it was just. I mean, it wasn't. It was a real rubbish Watford kit, wasn't it?
Oh, I didn't think it was too bad.
Just Watford and hoops. That's not a thing. That's not a thing.
Well, you could say the
Anyway,
same as
okay.
Stripes.
So that was my 10th, 13th, 14th with your 10th. So
Yeah,
we'll have a decision about that. We'll move on. So you had the 16-17
I
season
did.
in at number 9.
And at number 9, yeah.
That's also in my bottom half.
Yeah.
one place higher. Why was it so low for you?
I think um, by far it was our worst season in the Premier League up until 2019-20. So we'd done remarkably well to go up and stay up in 2015-16,
Mm,
and I just thought Walter Mazzari was a strange appointment at the time. Again, it was a bit of a grey area season for me as a Watford fan. Um, the kits were a bit strange. I had a strange kit sponsor. I can't remember what it's called, but it was a bit of a weird sponsor,
it
and
was
we just
it was it was 138.com.
mm,
Now, listeners, if you're going, how the hell do you know that? That's because I looked it up this afternoon because I can't remember it either.
yeah, yeah, bit weird, strange kit sponsor, and also the kit manufacturer is a bit of a weird one as well.
Yeah,
And yeah, we lost all six of our last games of that season,
yeah,
and we just completely fell off. And yeah, it really I did feel like we could have been sucked into being relegated that season. So that's why it's
it was.
so low. I just felt really not that connected to the team either. Obviously, there was a highlight. We did beat West Ham 4-2.
Yeah,
And we
and
did
Man United 3-1.
we did yeah yeah.
Yeah,
I just
Zuniga.
I just felt like it was a bit of a weird season. It wasn't great. So yeah,
Yeah,
ninth.
mate, I agree. I mean, my notes were couldn't describe the season. Niang goal against West Brom,
Yeah,
and I thought the kit was okay. I quite like the collar,
the
but
collar was nice. Yeah.
I'm a sucker for a collar on a football shirt. I don't
Mm.
know why, but no, agreed. So yeah, we'll leave that down the bottom there. Then in eight for you was the 21-22 season. So
Yeah.
last season. And I had the 16-17 season, which we spoke about. So
Yeah.
um, let's have a look. What are the commonalities? Okay, yeah, in at number seven for you was the first relegation season,
Yeah.
um, the 1920. That was in at number nine for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think, mate?
Well, it's interesting you did put it in ninth. I put it in seventh because I thought there was a real moment in that season where it looked like we really put up a fight and could have got out of the mess that we were in. And then obviously COVID came along and ruined it all. But I just thought that it's the season after the FA Cup final. We didn't win
Yeah,
a game until November.
yeah,
Obviously, you actually at that game
I
away
was
at
at that game.
Norwich.
Yeah, that was a real nice. That was one of the better away days. I must admit. I
Yeah,
think there was a real outpouring of satisfaction from the fans. That was a good day.
yeah. I really like the home kit. Bit of a template away kit and third kit, so that's what sort of brings it down a bit more. But the home kit was
Mm,
nice. I put it in seventh because I thought the squad we had shouldn't have got relegated, and
yeah,
sacking Nigel Pearson with one or two games to go was a real bad mistake. Um,
yeah,
Obviously, the highlight we destroyed Liverpool to stop them from going invincible, which was
yeah, we did.
unbelievably nice. And I just got COVID at one point, so that probably describes that
Yeah,
season quite well.
yeah, but that's fair. It was slightly lower for me, I think, mostly because of the points that you made, really. A
Yeah,
little bit about the squad. It felt like it was a really really disappointing season, that one.
yeah,
To be honest, I overlooked the sort of the togetherness that we showed in the initial days under Pearson, and I think COVID absolutely dismantled
yeah, because we're on a
our
real
season.
sort of upturn of form, and then COVID hit.
Yeah, especially with what happened to Nigel Pearson. It seems he sounded like he struggled through the pandemic, and he wasn't quite right when he came back. So that was a real shame. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think some of this is where we started to see the Pozzo's decision making go awry,
yeah,
reappointing Sanchez Flores.
that
It
was
really
weird.
didn't
Yeah,
work. Um, I think that's this is where we sort of stepped away from the Watford of the past. I
yeah,
think it was so low for me because we finally sort of had a squad which was arguably Premier League quality
mm,
for really the first time, and it looks like behind the scenes post FA Cup final. um, it all sort of fell apart and went really sour. So
Yeah,
that's why it knocked it back a few spots for
yeah,
me.
yeah. I agree
But
with that.
I
Yeah,
think the last season to discuss for the both of us in our bottom five is the 17-18 season.
yeah,
In at number six, and it was both number six for us.
yeah. I thought it was just sort of real medium season, and
Yeah.
that's the only place I could put it really in six because it wasn't
Yep.
terrible. I mean, from some of the research I did, we started the season really well.
Yeah.
Um,
Nice football.
3-3 draw against Liverpool. Then we
Yeah.
went on to beat teams like Bournemouth, Southampton 2-0, comfortable wins, really nice. And then the Everton
Uh,
interest came along and ruined it
oh.
all. So
Yes.
took the
We know
mind of
it.
yeah took the mind of Marcus Silva and obviously Richarlison as well. But I thought on the whole it was much improved from 16-17. So it's got to be higher than that. The home kit was it was a real template Adidas home kit, if I'm being honest. But the away kit was really nice.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and the highlight was obviously beating Chelsea 4-1, with a shout
Oh
out
yeah.
being the Richarlison header to rescue a point at West Brom, which was
Yeah.
really
Limbs.
nice as well. Absolute limbs. So
Yeah. That.
very very middling season. We weren't in any danger of getting relegated, but it's just unfortunate that we started the season so well and tailed off so
Yeah.
violently. So yeah,
I'm in
medium.
violent agreement there. I think it sums up. Decore was our top scorer that season with 7 goals. And it
Yeah,
was very much Watford in the cups. Went out in the fourth round away at Southampton in the
yeah,
FA Cup and lost in the League Cup second round to Bristol City. And
yeah.
I was at that game. Um,
Okay, so
yeah.
5-1.
So absolutely uh, a real middle ground,
Hmm.
run of the mill Watford season.
Yeah.
And quite rightly in the bottom half. Okie dokie. Let's move on to our top five. So the top five that we still have to choose from is, and this is in no order, the 2012-2013 season, the
Mhm.
first under the Pozzos, playoff final, that Deeney goal, etc., etc. The 14-15 season, where we had the manager changes, we went up, finished second, the away day at Brighton, etc., etc.
Mhm.
They have the 15-16 season, the first in the Premier League. Kike Sanchez Flores, Dini Nagalo. We have the FA Cup final season, the 18-19, where we finished our highest ever in the Premier League. Javi Gracia, Gerard Deulofeu, we had some amazing results, and an FA Cup final to boot. And the last one, if my notes are correct, and correct me if I'm wrong, mate,
Mhm.
is the COVID Championship
Yeah.
promotion season
Yeah.
in at second. So let's go, Ned. What is your top five?
Okay, so coming in at number 5, I've gone with 2015-16. In at number 4, 2020-21. Number 3, 2012-13. Number 2, 2018-19, and number 1 being 2014-15.
That is interesting. Okay, so how have we done? My number five, 15-16.
Oh,
My number four, 2020-2021.
oh,
My number three, 2012-2013.
go
And
on.
I'm not gonna say because uh because that might give the game away too early on. So, mate, we've got five down to three.
Okay.
Exactly the same. So hit me. Why was the 15-16 season in your top five, but not as good as the other four?
Well, obviously, it was unbelievable to be back in the Premier League. Um, I remember the first game of the season, Everton away, and it's the first time I'd ever seen Watford on Match of the Day. It was a real there was such a good glow around the club. Um, Obviously, there's been a lot of development over the summer on the Vic as well. Really nice. some good kits. The away kit was a little bit boring, which put it down a
Mm.
little bit.
Felt like a bit of a
Obviously,
training
we
kit, didn't it?
smashed Liverpool 3-0
Oh,
at home.
yes,
Igalo
we
and
did.
Dini were tearing it up. I just thought it was a good season, so had to be in the top half. But looking at the seasons above it, there is no way it could top those. A really
Nah,
solid season, but yeah, it couldn't go anywhere higher than fifth for me.
I think you're right. It was in the list of the top tens. It can only be fifth. It was
Yeah,
a real
yeah, yeah.
outlier in the sense that it wasn't a bad season, but it wasn't anywhere near the sort of the top four. I think that season for me was all about Dini and
Yeah.
Igalo muscling it up against the big boys. Sanchez Flores, Ian Wright, calling him the new sheriff in town. And we just kind of, it felt like we went up into the Premier League and we did it our way,
Mm.
and we could sort of for the first time be proud of the Watford model. The Pozzo model seems to be working.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, some class results in there, as you've mentioned, and of course a FA Cup semi-final, which some might say would warrant it being higher up, but
Mm.
we'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah.
I guess, but yeah, that's totally valid. Your number four, my number four, the COVID season,
Yeah.
2020, 2021.
So this is an
Talk to me.
interesting one,
Yes.
because obviously, looking at some of the stats for the season, it
Mm,
arguably is our best ever season under the Pozzos. We came
yeah.
second. We got 91 points, an average of 1.97 points per game. Um, we were firing on all cylinders. But
We had the
I,
best
I've,
defense as well, didn't we?
we did.
Was
We
it?
got something like
Did we?
19
Did
clean
we?
sheets or something
Yeah,
crazy like
19
that.
clean sheets. We only conceded 30 goals. Which was that a
It
championship
tied. It
record, or
tied
was
with
it
the
tied?
record of
Yeah,
Reading.
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that was a crazy. I mean, it seems crazy that to have Watford and good defense in the same sentence, but it, in my opinion, it had to be fourth because I personally didn't watch a lot of that season. If I'm going to be blatantly honest, because I didn't really feel the same connection through COVID with
Yeah,
Watford
yeah.
that I would have done with the atmosphere being there. Um, And if I'm being honest, the first half of the season up until Cisco, the football was pretty rubbish. Even though we
Yeah.
were grinding out 1-0 wins, it was just really boring football. So it couldn't be
Mm.
really high. But then I've got down that Cisco came in, he saved the team, played some great football, and we won 10 out of 11 through January, and we really made a surge and made that second spot our own. Yeah, so the highlight for me being Watford 1, Millwall 0, which did then eventually get us promoted back to the Premier
Yeah.
League. At the first time of asking, I've also got down a really weird home kit. I did not like the
Yeah.
home kit at all.
That was a real stinker,
A
wasn't it?
real stinker from from Kelmate. However, they have rescued it. I think Kelmate's kits in the past couple of years have been much better.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
and I was a big fan of the away and third kits, the
yeah,
little black the
mm,
black number and the little white number,
yeah. The
which
black kit was
Watford in
my
white
favourite.
for me is a big fan of white away kits
Mm,
for Watford for some
yeah.
reason.
So, do you have any other points on that season?
I'll agree. I'll agree with you on that one. Yeah, because I kind of looked at it, and the others, which I think is a little hint to kind of why we might have maybe got them all the same as on the way up. It just felt a bit sterile, didn't it,
Yeah,
that
it felt a
season?
bit strange.
Memories of sort of tuning into to Hive Live to watch the game, the commentary from um, John Marks and Tommy Mooney being done
Yeah,
from a studio, not at the ground.
yeah.
It just felt a little bit odd, didn't it? You can't knock the fact that we won and we scored some good goals, played some good football, but yeah, it didn't quite feel like a promotion season of other years.
Mm,
So I'll agree with you. I'll agree with you on that one.
mm.
But hey, we did have the cycling GK
We did.
who appeared
You
in
got to be
that season.
careful with mentioning his name in Watford now.
Yeah, seeing as he obviously loves Wrexham so much now. All right, that was number 4. So
Number
the
three.
t- the top the top three: 2012, 2013. I suppose we could talk about this one for a long time, but if you had to sum up that season in a couple of sentences, mate, why was it in your top three,
Um,
not higher?
I think in 3 words. Well, technically 2 words. Here's Hog.
Oh, very good. I think.
Um, that's literally it. That's all I can describe it as. It created one of the best moments in sport ever. We had some great kits. We scored some amazing goals. It was unbelievable football to watch. Um, we had sprung out of nowhere. We signed 1 million players from around the world. It was just an
Yeah.
incredible roller coaster ride, and
Oh,
it was a great season, and it made me really fall back in love with Watford for the first time, I guess, being so young. But yeah, great season. Really unlucky not to go up. Separated by a penalty in the playoff final, which is frustrating.
Kevin
But
Phillips.
on the whole, yeah, really great season. Unbelievable limbs in the Leicester game. And that Nathaniel Chalobah goal is one of the greatest EFL goals I've ever seen.
Oh, and I think because I was thinking about this, it didn't. Did it win that Chalobah goal? Did it win the goal of the season? I don't think it did.
I cannot
I've not
remember.
because I have a
It
sneaky
must have done.
feeling. Well, no, I have a sneaky feeling because Sarr won goal of the season, didn't he? But they announced that with sort of 2, 3 game weeks to go, and
Hmm.
that Leicester game was
Oh
um
yeah, that's a fair point to be fair.
right near the end of the season. So I think it's the goal of the season that never was.
Hmm.
I think, yeah, mate. I'm with you on that one. It was it was one hell of a season.
Yeah.
If not for the rant that Ian Holloway went on, that was sort of a peak moment in and of itself, wouldn't it?
Unbelievable.
Um,
The saltiest
yeah,
man I've ever seen in football.
it just felt really fun, didn't it?
Yeah.
And it was a sign of things to come. The football was great. The Batocchio goal
Oh.
against Huddersfield.
Hmm.
You never quite knew if we were going to win 4-3 or lose 4-3,
Hmm.
and it just felt like after the 3 or 4 seasons preceding that where um, we were clinging on, it felt like all of a sudden we'd had this injection of brilliance and well, to name some of the players that appeared for the club in that season. You
Yeah.
mentioned Chalobah, but that was the dawning of Vidra,
Yeah. Yeah.
Abdi, Forestieri. Um, yeah, real fond memories looking at that one. For me though, and sort of dragging it back down, I think for me the reason why it's not any higher is simply because of how the season ended, and there was
Yeah.
sort of no success off the back of it, which is
Yeah.
probably hinting at number two
Well,
and
it's
number one.
yeah, but it's interesting you say that because I was watching a podcast Troy Deeney appeared on literally like 2 or 3 days ago, saying that season sort of this is the first year that he's been able to appreciate the goal because
Oh, really? Yeah,
he always sees the season as a failure because obviously
yeah,
it doesn't mean anything that they went on to then lose the playoff final. But yeah, so
yeah.
it's
And
right to be in third. I think it's the best of the rest, but we never got really anything
oh,
from it.
I mean, I might be biased here, and I probably am, and someone will shout at me. But could that possibly be the most entertaining, enjoyable footballing season that ended in failure?
Oh, that is a bold call.
Yeah.
A bold call. I think some Liverpool fans would maybe have have some things
I
to say about
suppose,
that.
yeah, that Man City season, I guess,
Mm.
I'm guessing. But they probably should have just been better, I guess, and won it. I didn't see them having a Deeney goal.
Right, 2-1, 2-1.
2-1, right there. Your number two was the 18-19 season,
Yep.
and your number one was the 14-15 season.
Mm-hmm.
Talk me through your number two, and then I will tell you whether or not I agreed or disagreed.
Okay. So in at number two, I've gone with 2018-19. Um, the best ever finish for in the Premier League for Watford. We won our first four games. The title charge was undoubtedly on. Unfortunately, we did fall off a little bit. We got to an FA Cup final. The kits were amazing, home and away, and it just felt like we could have pushed on from that moment into Europe the next season. Really started to build a proper model in the Premier League, like the likes of Brighton and Brentford, and it was the last good season under the Pozzos, really, in my opinion, as in terms of like really. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously the 2020-21 season occurred, but really, I think the last good season under the Pozzos, and the highlight obviously being coming from 2-0 behind in the FA Cup semi-final, which was an unbelievable game to be at. Um, yeah, just a great season, and it was just so unfortunate that we did fall off so much from the final. I think that 6-0 loss really did put a lot of
yeah,
damage into the dressing room. But the last season, the photos from the dressing room after the semi final, the togetherness, everyone stayed after the final whistle at the FA Cup
yeah,
semi final, and all the players ran up to the away end, and it was just a crazy season, and it was just such a shame that we couldn't then build on from it. But yeah.
yeah. No, I'm with you on that one. You know, people, we were 11th. We finished 11th that season. The only team I believe that were a dead cert to finish top half that managed to finish 11th somehow
Mm.
in the Premier League. But yeah, so it was an unbelievable season. But not to forget, we played 4 won 4.
Yeah, yeah.
Including the come from behind win against Spurs. Um, we were Gracia with the Manager of the Month award for August, and we were not like an opening day top of the Premier League. I think we were top of the Premier League after game week 4 for a bit. So
Mm.
wow, yeah, that was an incredible season. And the semi final against Wolves, I think you know, summed up the season. The Delafeu goal, the come from
Mm.
behind aspect of it, Deeney with the penalty. Yeah, there's just so much to look at that season, and
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think any season where a club like Watford gets to the FA Cup final
Yeah.
is a remarkable achievement, and it did. It did feel like we finally were an established Premier League side. Oh, how foolish we were! But we're not here to be. Oh, we're not
Yeah.
here to be uh, negative about that. But also, I think a slightly underrated. I'm going to come out there and say it. A slightly underrated Watford kit.
I
The
would
black
say so
and
as well.
yellow
Yeah.
stripe.
It was a bit of a surprise, but I think looking back on it, it's one of the better kits we had in the Premier League.
Yeah,
And the away kit was
yeah, yeah.
really nice as well.
Yeah, we had some good kits there. There were some interesting signings that season.
Yeah.
Um, it felt really nice. And Delafeu was the top scorer that season for us. And man, oh, what a player was he, hey?
What a player. Yeah. Really, really unlucky not to keep him the season after. Well, not the season after, but the season after that, when we
Mm,
did eventually get relegated. But
yeah.
let's move on to number one.
Number one.
So
Okay, now so your number one was 14-15,
yeah.
and you want to know whether or not I agree that was my number one as well. So
Well, yeah.
without further ado, my number one season in the top 10 for the Pozzo era was indeed the 14-15 promotion season.
Mm,
I'm with you. We absolutely nailed it.
yeah.
The top 5 through to 1, bang
Nailed.
on. Never in doubt.
No.
I'm with you all the way on this one.
Yeah.
I think um, you can't. I mean, I think
The,
that was the epitome of Watford under the Pozzos, wasn't it?
yeah. 5 managers, and we blitzed it. Unbelievable season. coming off the back of the 13-14, which is really disappointing. There was, it was great, really good, unbelievable development on the Vic. The Elton John stand was put
Yeah,
into place. We had some great results. We pulled through. I mean, a lot of people were saying that season that we didn't have it up against the big boys. I remember beating Middlesbrough 2-0, and I just thought we could
yeah,
easily go up on this season. And yeah, it's just really unlucky not to have finished first, but
yeah. The add to
real
new
shame.
Hugh,
Yeah,
90th minute, wasn't it?
yeah, really a real shame. But kits
I
were
mean,
fantastic. The away kit in
yeah,
particular, great
yeah,
kit. The Remembrance kit. The game
yeah.
against Millwall where they wore it, and it just felt really like no other season could top it. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, just the amount of goals that we scored, and
yeah,
some of the football, you're running out of games to sort of, you know, think about where where we dismantled like
mm,
teams. Like
like
we had
Fulham.
the Blackpool game, seven
Yeah,
two.
yeah,
Was it Charlton,
5-0.
5-1,
Yeah, 5-0.
5-0, that we absolutely tore into to a lot of teams, isn't it?
Yeah,
Dini, Igalo, and Vidra, with Forestieri to come off the bench maybe, and then you had
Abdi.
Abdi chipping in. I mean,
Yeah, it was a great
wow.
season. What a season! And
I mean, yeah, my notes here was promotion season, Dini, Igalo, and Vidra. The general feeling around the club being positive, entertaining football, and summed it up with Brighton away.
that was my highlight of the season as well. Brighton away.
Wow,
Seen a lot of
just
clips on that recently.
yeah, it was the anniversary of it, wasn't it? A
Yeah,
couple of weeks, a couple of days ago.
but what a season! Yeah.
I still think about that Vidra finish.
Mm. What a ball from Dini as well.
Great ball from Dini, all done, and then the celebrations on the bus,
Yeah,
and
yeah, and in
as a
the sea afterwards as well from Watford fans. It was
in
just
the sea.
a great season in total, and it really was just like wow, the Pozzos have really done something here, and
Yeah, and
yeah,
yeah, unbelievable, brilliant, brilliant feelings, and it's yeah, I think that is for me rightly uh, the
yeah.
best
There's nothing
season
to top it. Nothing to top
under
it.
the Pozzos. All right, so what we'll do then is let's just rattle through the list one final time for those who are listening / playing along. So doing a little bit of jiggery pokery with our bottom six, or our bottom five. So in at number 10, 21-22. In at number 9, the 13-14 season. In at number 8, the 19-20 relegation season. And in at number 7, the 16-17 season, before number 6 being the 17-18 season. And
Mm.
then rattling through the top 5 seasons under the Pozzo era. The 15-16 season, Dini and Igalo back in the Prem, some good results, and an FA Cup semi-final. In at number 4, the 2021 season, the COVID season. Great points tally, lowest goals conceded, but did we connect? And it was a bit of a dodgy kit. In at number 3, the 12-13 season, the first under the Pozzos, that Dini game, madness with loans, amazing football, but we just fell short. Number 2 was the 18-19 season. You can't discount an FA Cup final, our highest ever league finish, being top after the end of August with Gracia manager of the month, and that Delafeu goal against Wolves. And you know what? An underrated kit.
Mm.
And at number 1, the 14-15 season, need we say any more? Dini, Igalo, and Vidra, the away day at Brighton, and we were promoted ahead of time, and we just couldn't get over the line against Sheffield Wednesday. But nonetheless, an iconic season under the Pozzo tenure.
That is yeah.
Let us know if you disagree vehemently. Those listening or
Mm.
playing along, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. Thank you very much for listening. And if you have made it to this point, we do really appreciate it. We've done something a little bit different this week because we're a bit tired of just talking about how rubbish this season has been. So if you have enjoyed it, please do leave a comment, leave a like on the video, and don't forget to subscribe with the notifications turned on so you never miss an upload, and to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music as well, so you never miss an upload on there if you aren't listening audibly. So don't miss out, and we'll catch you very soon with another podcast. Cheers, guys.
Thanks now.